Hey VC, Big Star 1000s, with the second part of the Gimme Ten on Psychedelic Pop. Last week I discussed the pioneers, the originals from 1960s, 1970s. We talked about the Beatles, the Zombies, and a whole lot of other interesting albums. And today I'm going to focus on the revivalists from 1990 and beyond. I have omitted XTC from this list. It is a notable omission as they were purveyors of psych pop in the 1980s, but I've chosen to go from 1990 and beyond. So just wanted to address that in case you're getting antsy watching this video and saying, where's XTC? Where's Skylarking? Where's Oranges and Lemon? Yes, worthy of including in this list, but not today. And I want to start right off the bat with a classic from 1999. The band from Oklahoma City, led by crazy, eccentric Wayne Coyne, the Flaming Lips. This is the 8th or 9th album, The Soft Bulletin. This was rightfully dubbed the Pet Sounds of the 90's for its really, very, very psychedelic pop approach. And you couldn't disagree with this. On a personal note, I got this album the week it was released in '99. I read a very glowing review of this album and felt compelled to buy it. And it was a few months after 00's Songs by Mercury Rev. Both albums are produced by Dave Friedman, which is what I'm talking about this. And I'd bought Mercury Rev's 00's Songs on release as well, and I loved that album. And I was expecting big things about, when I read about this album, and I wasn't disappointed. It's a great record. It's got some absolutely bombastic songs from Race from the Prize, Spoonful Weighs a Ton, Waiting for Superman. This is a more recent reissue of the album because over the years I thought I'd upgrade my CD into a record, great sounding record. So Soft Bulletin. Right, second record I've chosen is part of the Animal Collective family. I could have chosen something like Merryweather Post Pavilion, which is a very, very psych pop infused record. But I decided to go for this, which is one of my favorite records of the 2000s, but favorite records generally speaking. This is Panda Bear with Person Pitch. And Panda Bear is one of the founding members of Animal Collective, alongside with Avi Tear and Geologist and Deacon. And this record came out in 2007. And in my opinion, it's a masterpiece, as well as I was saying about the Soft Bulletin. A very Brian Wilson-esque, there's a different air of Pet Sounds in there, very cosmic spectral music, multi-layered vocals. It's multi-tracked vocals, and it's all done by him, Panda Bear. Noah Lennox is his real name. Now lives in Lisbon. Just from its iconic sleeve to songs like Comfy Nautica and Take Pills, Good Girl Carrots. It's just it's drenched in beautiful sunshine and psychedelia. This is just a really excellent record. So from Panda Bear to Grizzly Bear, I just thought I'll just go from one bear to another. Vecatimist. This record came out in 2009 on Warp. This is Grizzly Bear's probably third or fourth, or maybe I'd say third album. I've been a fan of Grizzly Bear from their first records, Yellow House, which is also an absolutely excellent record. This record here is really taking the psych pop revival to the next level, in my opinion. So the band's from Brooklyn, New York. And here, if you want a good sample, just listen to 2 weeks. 2 weeks, the second song. I'll just give you a really good sort of a. Yeah, it's this mix of indie rock and psych pop, which is so catchy and so damn entertaining. I would recommend all of the records. They're a great band. But this was an obvious choice for me. Vekati Mest, Grizzly Bear, fantastic. I've got some CDs. So I'll show you a CD now. I've got 2 or 3 CDs there. I don't have everything on vinyl, and from now on, I'm going to stop saying I've only got it on CD because it's just stupid. I've got it on CD. It's a very worthwhile means of listening to music. Okay, this record, fabulous, fabulous. Also a record that I purchased pretty much on release off Montreal. I'll take it out of the thing so you can see the sleeve properly. Off Montreal, I think from memory they were from Georgia. I'm not even sure. I might be talking crap. Doesn't matter. You can look it up. Very prolific band, and they're led by this guy called Kevin Barnes. Yes, Kevin Barnes. What an eccentric genius. A bit like Wayne Coyne, really, and Panda Bear. And this is called Hissing Fauna, Are You the Destroyer? This contains some just absolutely mind-blowing songs. Suffer for Fashion, the opener. Amsgate, Like a Promethean Curse. I mean, the titles are very difficult to say. Groenlandic Edit. I mean, the past is a grotesque animal. He's got a very imaginative sense of lyricism. This is totally in the ballpark of psych pop. It's just essential, in my opinion. If you're gonna get one off Montreal records, make it this one. I think he moved to Norway after this or something. Or Iceland or something. He's a nutter. Anyway, moving on. I go back to a record. Again, this is another classic of the style. Another tortured genius, or no, not really, but this is Caribou and Dora. Caribou is Dan Snaith. His name is Dan Snaith, and he's from Canada, and he operated previously under the name Manitoba, but there's some lawsuit or something, I don't know. If you're gonna get one Caribou album, make it this one. It's an absolute classic. It is psyche beyond belief. It's just, and definitely a psychedelic pop record. I mean, in every possible way. The opener will give you a good idea what it sounds like. Melody Day, Sandy is fabulous. The last song, Nearby, is fantastic. The story behind this is interesting too, because allegedly he laid down there's 10 songs, 10 or whatever, 9 songs or 10 songs. I think that the legend goes like this. He recorded a total of about 700 different tracks. If you can imagine, like if you divvy up like 700 by 9 songs, that's a shitload of tracks. Anyway, just over. This is from 2000 and I'd say seven as well. And again, these are all albums that I picked up when they came out because they were just well reviewed. I'll go back to another CD. Here is a great band from Athens, Georgia. The cover will not say anything to you. The band is called the Olivia Tremor Control. I might write this on the screen at the same time. And this album is called Black Foliage Volume 1. And this really evokes really the zombies, the beetles, the turtles, but in a sort of more modern setting. You know, you really get the feel for this, that this album is really a throwback to the golden era of psych pop. The band was on the Elephant Six collective from Georgia, which featured amongst others the Apples in Stereo and Neutral Milk Hotel. In fact, this band features Jeff Mangum, the leader of Neutral Milk Hotel. This album, the few albums that they released came before Neutral Milk Hotel, so it was kind of a precursor. This is way more psychedelic though than psych pop than Neutral Milk Hotel. The Olivia Tremor Control, Black Foliage Volume 1, superb album. If you like the Zombies, for example, this will just really get you there. I can't talk about psych pop without mentioning this classic Welsh outfit, and I'm talking about the Super Furry Animals, SFA. And I could have gone for different things, I could have gone for Rings Around the World, very psych pop. Even the debut album is kind of, but I'm going to go with this because I don't think anybody shows this on the VC ever. This is Mung. That's how this is pronounced. This is a psych record that they released in 2000. And this happens to be the triple LP box set of it. Which it's funny because I never meant to pick this up, but I was in a local record store and this was in a bargain bin for just next to nothing. And I love this record. I've got it on CD as well, and I've had it on CD for years. And I thought I can't let this go. I'm glad I've got it because I've been playing it quite a bit recently as well. Mung is an album. I think it's the fourth album by the Super Furry Animals. Now the Super Furry Animals are a band from Cardiff, Wales, and the charismatic leader is Gruff Rhys. Everybody, I think, knows. Everybody who listens to that kind of music knows the Super Furry Animals, and they're known for their sort of oddball, kind of goofy attitude and crazy lyrics and very druggy kind of themes. And Mung is an album entirely sung in Welsh. Yes, because they're from Wales and they speak Welsh. And I don't think the language matters too much on this occasion. I think you can enjoy this for what it is. I was listening to the one of the classics by Dungan this afternoon, and I don't understand a word of Swedish, but I enjoyed it thoroughly, and the same for this. This is very, very, very cool, this record. I recommend you give this a listen. It's not exactly psych pop per se. There's lots of elements of folk in there as well, but the overall mood is very poppy and very, very bouncy and very happy. So, very highly recommended. An Australian band that I have to mention. I could have mentioned a couple of Australian bands, but the one that really sticks for me is Tame Impala. And this is the debut album, In a Speaker, which I still think is the best effort so far, at least the most consistent effort. This came out in 2000 something. I couldn't tell you because I don't know, because I am a Philistine. Okay, doesn't matter, you can look it up. And I really like this record. It's really, it's really, really catchy and very well layered and beautiful. You get the spirit of the time. It's very Beatles-esque in spirit and attitude. I very highly recommend. Yet again, it's just the work of a solo genius, Kevin Parker, who now lives in Paris, I think. We've got a thread emerging here, Kevin Barnes lives in Norway. Kevin Parker in Paris. Panda Bear lives in Lisbon. I mean, should you move away somewhere exotic, make a great record and just move away. Okay, two more. And the last two are oddballs, because that's what I do. My channel. I like to just showcase some cool records that you may never have thought of. And this here is not technically a psych pop record per se, but it has elements of it. And it's not a classic or a masterpiece in any way, shape, or form. For me, it is, because I bought this many years ago and I spent a lot of time with it. Now, you know what it is when you've got an album, when you've lived with it for a long time and the songs are just etched in your mind. This is one of these albums. Again, it's the same story. I was reading Mojo, and this is from 2000, I think, if I remember. 2001, excuse me. And, there was a short review about this, Genius from Mull. Mull is an island in the Scottish Hebrides. It's a tiny island, and this guy just basically was like a Brian Wilson of sorts. Here he is. He's called Colleen McIntyre, and it's a one-man band. Basically, he plays everything on the record. I mean, it's a huge thing. It's a double LP thing. And the songs are all amazing, really. In my opinion, you can't. He nailed it. He nailed the spirit of that sound, And I just love this. I just personally love this. Check it out if you've got a minute. It's called Loss by the Mull Historical Society. There's wonderful songs like Barcode Bypass, for example, or Only I. Just a superb record. So check it out. And finally, a French record, because why not? And this record is by an artist, a Parisian artist, who goes by the name of Forever Pavo, and the album is called Rhapsode. This guy, his real name is Émile Sornin, and he's again a one-man band, really. I mean, he writes everything in his bedroom, and this is one of the releases on the Born Bad Records label, which I love. I have many of the releases. This really owes a large debt to Serge Gainsbourg, Alain Goraguet with the Fantastic Planet soundtrack, and also chiefly François de Roubaix, who is basically the French Lalo Schifrin, if you will. You can see that this guy listens to those, but he makes a really neat, tight mix of all these influences. There's lots of very, very cool, harpsichord and fuzzy guitars, and it's just a really great record. Actually, I was tempted to show you his second album, Pantoufle, La Pantoufle, which probably covers the style a little bit better. But I just love this sleeve. I just think it's a great sleeve. This was released in the last few years. I'd say 2013 or something like that. I don't know exactly. You can look it up. Great little, it gives you an idea. Very, very psyche artwork there. And so there you go. Neo Psych Pop in 10 records. I hope you enjoy. Now next week, I'm going to start a 2-part on Baroque Pop, 60s, 70s, part 1. And part 2 will be, 90s to 2000, like I've done here. So same ballpark, but different records. See you, VC.